If I told you that time is not running out, but running towards something, would you believe me? There is a stillness approaching. And those who are unprepared, not physically but internally, will feel it like an earthquake in the soul. This message is not to scare you. It is a whisper from the ancient mountains to the heart of the modern man. Watch this before June 30th, because after that, you may no longer hear it. We like to believe that we are in control, that if we plan enough, prepare enough, and predict enough, life will bend to our will. We wake up and check the weather, but we do not check the climate within ourselves. We make lists, we build routines, we chase productivity, as if order alone could protect us from what is uncertain. But control is a gentle illusion, one that comforts the mind, but leaves the spirit untrained. Because the truth is this: the deeper forces that shape our lives do not ask for permission. They do not operate on our schedules. They do not follow the rules we've written in our calendars. Earthquakes do not knock. Rain does not RSVP. And time, in its quiet cruelty, moves forward whether you're ready or not. There is a kind of arrogance that arises in modern living. The assumption that because we can hold information in our palms, we can also hold destiny in our hands. But wisdom is not the same as data, and readiness is not the same as prediction. Even the monk who meditates for years on the mountain cannot stop a storm, but he does not need to, because he has learned to stop expecting stillness from the sky and instead create it within himself. Look around. Everything you call stable is held together by something invisible. The ground beneath your home rests on shifting plates. The breath in your lungs depends on a delicate rhythm. The heart in your chest beats without your command. You are not the master of these things. You are their guest. And the wise guest does not take the host for granted. That is why ancient traditions emphasized reverence. Not fear, not superstition, but reverence for the mystery that allows life to continue without asking for your input. Control, in the end, is not what grants us peace. It is what keeps us tense, because anything you feel you must hold on to tightly will exhaust you. The more you try to grip the flow of life, the more you find it slipping between your fingers. And yet this is not a cause for despair. It is a quiet invitation to change how you walk. Instead of running to control the river, sit by it. Instead of building dams to stop it, learn how to float in its current. This does not mean you become passive. It means you become present. The man who is obsessed with control forgets to notice what is already working. The woman who fears disorder forgets that chaos is sometimes the birthplace of clarity. The warrior who clutches his weapon in fear cannot move with fluidity. He becomes rigid, predictable, defeated not by the enemy but by his own tension. And so it is with life. When you become rigid in your thinking, when you seek to trap every possibility in the box of logic, you lose your ability to respond with awareness. You become a machine rather than a being. The coming days will not reward those who have built stronger walls. They will reward those who have cultivated deeper roots. Roots do not resist the wind. They hold quietly beneath the surface. They do not chase the storm. They survive it by surrendering to the rhythm of the earth. Ask yourself then, are you living like a wall, tall and proud, but hollow inside, or like a tree, still, rooted and ready to bend without breaking? There is a silence that comes only when you stop needing everything to go your way, when you no longer beg the moment to obey your preferences. It is in that silence where true preparation begins, not through plans, but through presence, not through urgency, but through attention. And perhaps that is the first step to understand that what is coming, whatever it may be, will not ask what you know. It will ask who you have become. And so I ask you, what part of you is still clinging to control? What are you still trying to force, shape or predict, as if life were a spreadsheet instead of a living breath? Let it go, let it unravel. Watch what remains when you stop resisting. That is the part of you that is real. That is the part of you that will endure. The signs never vanish. We only forget how to read them long before a storm arrives. The animals grow restless. Birds shift their flight path. Trees lean into the wind, long before it speaks. And the mountains, they do not tremble, but they listen. Nature never shouts, it whispers, and those whispers have never stopped. But in a world built on noise, we have unlearned the sacred art of noticing. We are surrounded by messages that don't speak in words. The cracked soil, the erratic seasons, the feeling of time stretching and shrinking in the same breath. These are not random events. They are a language, and every language requires presence. But how can you read the sky when your eyes are locked to a screen? How can you hear the trees when your ears are full of opinions? This is not about blame. It is about returning to the ancient relationship between the inner self and the outer world. Returning to the understanding that what seems external is often just a reflection of what lies within. In every era, there are warnings. And in every era, most people miss them. Not because they are blind, but because they are distracted. The fire always starts as a flicker. The drought always begins with a single dry day. But those who do not watch the flicker are surprised when the flames rise. Those who do not honor the rhythm of rainfall panic when the river disappears. Yet none of these moments arrive unannounced. The announcement was always there, in stillness, in tension, in patterns that did not match the stories we told ourselves. There is a reason ancient masters spent their lives in quiet places, not because the mountains made them wise, but because the silence helped them see what had always been there. A shift in the wind, a feeling in the bones, a dream that repeated itself with strange precision. These were not coincidences. They were invitations. Invitations to align, to cleanse, to prepare. But to prepare, one must notice. And to notice, one must slow down. What if the most dangerous events are not those that shout at us, but the ones that slip past unnoticed? What if the real test of your awareness is not how fast you react, but how deeply you perceive? You may think the signs are coming tomorrow, but they have already come. You simply didn't recognize them as signs. A conversation that made your chest tighten, a sleepless night you dismissed as stress, a silence in your spirit that no achievement could fill. These are not random discomforts. They are signals, and signals are sacred. I have seen people chase answers in books, in lectures, in rituals. But the truth is simpler than most can accept. To sense what is real, you must first be still. Still enough to feel the shift. Still enough to notice what no one else is talking about. When the collective mind is focused outward, the awakened soul looks inward. Not to escape the world, but to understand it from the inside out. Because that is where the signs first appear. Not in the weather, not in the economy, not in the headlines, but in the way you breathe when you're alone. In the way time feels longer or shorter when you sit in silence. In the way your intuition pulls you towards something or away from something without explanation. The greatest warnings are not punishments. They are acts of compassion. They come to correct your course before the impact. But like all wisdom, they are subtle. They require you to slow down enough to recognize them. And that is why so few people respond. Because slowing down feels unnatural in a world that worships speed. But the river never rushes. The moon never hurries. The tree does not grow faster because it wants to reach the sun. It grows by being faithful to the rhythm that was already placed inside it. So must you. Do not ask what will happen on June 26. That is the wrong question. Ask instead, what has already begun that I have not yet honored? The answer to that question is where your real preparation begins. We often imagine warnings from the divine as dramatic events. Thunder in the sky, fire on the mountain, voices booming through clouds. We think they come from above, loud and clear, forcing us to stop in our tracks. But if you observe closely, the most profound messages never come with noise. They come with absence. Absence of clarity, absence of comfort, absence of peace. It is not the thunder that teaches. It is the quiet afterward that changes you. That stillness that demands your attention, not with violence, but with truth. To call something God's final warning is to confront a difficult reality. Not that we are being punished, but that we are being remembered. Remembered by the very order we try to live apart from. Remembered by a deeper intelligence that sees beyond the surface of our habits and accomplishments. You see, it is easy to believe we are awake while moving, but stillness is the true test of wakefulness. And this warning, if it is divine, does not come to destroy. It comes to return you to yourself. Perhaps that is the deeper meaning. What feels like a warning is really a reflection, a final echo of all the chances you were given to choose differently. It is not God knocking loudly on your door. It is your own soul showing you the path you've wandered from. In that way, the warning is not punishment, but mercy. It does not say, you have failed. It says, look again. So then, what is it that must be seen? Not a vision in the sky, not some encrypted message hidden in the news, but something far simpler, far quieter. It is the way your life no longer aligns with your values. It is the way your choices contradict your longing. It is the way your inner voice has gone unheard for too long. The real danger is not what is coming from outside. It is what we continue to ignore within. That is the misunderstanding so many carry, thinking a divine message comes to change the world around them. But it always begins inside. And it is not always urgent in tone. Sometimes it sounds like a question you've been avoiding. Sometimes it feels like restlessness in a room you once loved. Sometimes it's the sudden awareness that you are far from who you thought you would be. You were not sent here to be comfortable. You were sent here to awaken. And every moment of resistance, every time you push away discomfort, instead of studying it, you delay that awakening. So this so-called warning is not a moment of fear. It is a moment of truth, an offering, a mirror, a bell ringing gently in the monastery of your own heart. If the world seems uncertain, if your thoughts seem heavy, if time feels like it is pressing forward with unusual weight, do not rush to fix the outside. Turn inward. Ask what is unspoken inside you that now demands voice. Ask what you've postponed out of convenience. Ask why silence now feels louder than sound. There is no final warning without a first invitation. And the invitation has always been there, in the breath, in the moment, in the quiet decision to live with integrity. You do not need more signs. You need deeper stillness. You need to slow the racing of your thoughts so you can hear the instruction that's already been given, the one that comes not from above but from within, the place where the divine has always whispered, without force, without fear. Whatever approaches on June 26 is not a test of your knowledge, but a test of your alignment. Are you who you pretend to be? Are you rooted in truth or in image? Have you built a life around presence or performance? These are the questions the moment asks, and only stillness will reveal your answer. You cannot walk through fire with your hands full, and yet so many try. They step into transformation while clinging tightly to who they were, to titles, to stories, to people who no longer walk the same path. But fire is not gentle with baggage. It will burn through everything you refuse to release. And this is why most suffering is not caused by the fire itself, but by the grip, the refusal to let go, the belief that what brought you here must also carry you forward. It rarely does. We all carry something that no longer serves us, a habit that numbs, a resentment that simmers quietly beneath our smiles, an identity we've outgrown but still protect because it's familiar. We convince ourselves these things are necessary, but in truth, they are weights, and the next part of your journey will not allow passengers that weigh down your soul. What you are moving toward, if it is real, will ask for a shedding, not as punishment, but as preparation. You cannot climb the mountain and drag the village behind you. You must choose what comes with you. You must choose who comes with you. And above all, you must choose which version of yourself you will take into the next season of life. Most people try to bring them all. The dreamer, the pleaser, the performer, the one who is always trying to be enough. But the path is narrow, and it is honest. It will only welcome the version of you that no longer lies. So pause and ask yourself with sincerity, what am I still clinging to that cannot survive where I'm going? What part of my identity is built on fear? What rituals do I repeat only to feel safe, even though they make me feel smaller? These are not questions to answer quickly. They are questions to live in, to let echo inside you until the falls away on its own. There is a sacred violence to awakening. It does not ask for polite adjustments. It asks for death of the old self, of old habits, of hollow attachments. And like any death, it will feel unnatural at first. But if you observe the seasons, you will see the truth. Even the tree must lose all its leaves before it can bloom again. It does not argue with the wind. It does not cry over the fallen. It stands, it empties, it waits. And can you do the same? Can you let go without resentment? Can you mourn what no longer serves you? Not with bitterness, but with gratitude. Even the painful patterns once served a purpose, but their time is over. To carry them forward now is to poison what is sacred. There is no room for disguise in what comes next. Only truth, only stillness, only the quiet courage to leave behind what is already leaving you. So look closely at your attachments, not just the obvious ones, but the subtle ones. The roles you play in silence, the identities you defend unconsciously, the way you react when silence grows too loud. These are your mirrors. They do not lie. They reflect the version of you that is afraid to vanish, even when vanishing is the path to becoming. In many traditions, there is a ritual of shedding before entering the sacred space. You remove your shoes, you bow your head, you step in empty, not because the place demands it, but because the act prepares you. In the same way, the coming shift, whether it arrives with fire or wind, silence or light, will ask you to leave something at the threshold, something you no longer need but have grown too familiar with. You know what it is. You've known for a while. The mind will tell you it's not the right time, that maybe you can hold on a little longer, but the soul knows otherwise. The soul does not wait for the perfect conditions. It moves when the calling is real. And right now, something in you is being called to loosen its grip, to stop resisting the unraveling, to stand still long enough to notice what has already begun to fall away. Let it. There is a peace that cannot be given to you, not by others, not by circumstances, not even by the quiet around you. Because true peace does not come from the absence of noise. It comes from the presence of clarity. And clarity is not something that appears when you wish for it. It arrives when you have burned away all that is false, slowly, patiently, through the steady rhythm of discipline. We often think of discipline as restriction, as something cold, harsh, rigid. But this is a misunderstanding. Discipline is not about controlling the self. It is about refining it. It is the art of shaping your energy into alignment with your values, moment by moment, decision by decision. In a world that praises comfort and convenience, discipline has become a forgotten form of love. But it is the deepest kind, because it asks not how you feel, but who you are becoming. When the fog is thick, the disciplined one does not rush forward. He waits, he breathes, he listens, because he has trained himself to resist the seduction of reaction. His inner compass does not panic when the outer world trembles. And this is why the path of stillness is a warrior's path. Not because it is violent, but because it is exacting. It demands presence, and presence is costly. To be clear, within yourself means to stop hiding behind distraction. It means to sit in the emptiness of not knowing and trust that what you need will rise to meet you, not through force, but through fidelity. Fidelity to your breath, to your word, to your way of being when no one is watching. This kind of clarity is not loud. It is not inspirational. It is not the spark of a single moment. It is the fire that is tended in quiet repetition. And it becomes your light, not because it burns bright, but because it does not go out. Look around, and you will see people chasing noise, chasing meaning in headlines, in arguments, in constant motion. They fear stillness because it reveals the hollowness they are not ready to face. But what is hollow cannot endure. Only what is rooted can remain when the winds arrive. And so we return again to simplicity, to the quiet discipline of rising with the sun, of eating with attention, of speaking less and listening more, not as a performance, not to appear spiritual, but to be empty of what is unnecessary and full of what is real. There is no great revelation that will come to you without preparation. The soul opens slowly, like a flower that only blooms in the exact light. You must become that light. You must become the conditions in which your own awakening can safely unfold. And this is why clarity follows discipline, not desire. Because desire alone is fleeting. But discipline is the bridge between longing and embodiment. When the world is uncertain, most people chase new ideas. But the wise one returns to the basics. Breath, posture, stillness, intention. He repeats them, not because he is bored, but because he understands that the sacred hides in the simple, that the next level of awakening is not always above. It is often beneath the noise, beneath the ego, beneath the craving to be elsewhere. And this is why peace is not found in changing everything around you. It is found in changing how deeply you can remain where you are. You will be tested, not in dramatic ways, but in small ones. In how you respond to inconvenience, in how you hold yourself when no one affirms you, in how you continue your path when the results are invisible. These are the quiet trials that shape clarity. They do not come with fanfare. They come like water shaping stone, slowly, persistently, without noise. And if you endure them with patience, something ancient will begin to grow within you. Not a feeling, not a thought, a knowing. A knowing that you are no longer afraid of losing what was never yours. A knowing that you are no longer seeking outside what was planted inside you from the beginning. A knowing that you are ready, not because you have all the answers, but because you are finally empty enough to receive them. There comes a point in every journey when silence is no longer enough. When presence must become participation. When awareness, no matter how pure, must take shape through choice. You have listened, you have reflected, but now you must respond. Because the gate does not remain open forever, and the path does not wait for wandering minds. It bows only to those who are ready to walk. Readiness is not a feeling. It is not the absence of fear or confusion. It is the willingness to move forward anyway, to act without perfect clarity, to step, not because you know where the step will lead, but because not stepping would be a form of betrayal to your own becoming. The mountain does not ask for your confidence. It only asks that you take the next step with full attention, that you do not drag your feet through the sacred earth, that you do not carry hesitation into the place meant for devotion. What happens on June 26 is not the point. The point is, are you aligned before it arrives? Not in theory, in practice, in breath, in rhythm, because the doorway, whatever it represents for you, will not judge you. It will reflect you. It will amplify the state you bring into it. Those who enter prepared will find renewal. Those who enter fragmented will be scattered further. Not because the moment is cruel, but because it is exact. The time for questions is ending. Not because there are no more mysteries, but because you already carry the answers you seek. Every insight you needed has come to you before. Through silence, through pain, through whispers you chose to ignore or postpone. But now there is no more postponement. The forest will not stay green for you. The river will not flow backward to comfort your delay. Time is not pressuring you, it is inviting you, but the invitation will expire. Do not mistake waiting for preparation. They are not the same. Some wait their entire lives convinced they are getting ready, when in truth they are avoiding the call. Real preparation does not stall. It simplifies, it clarifies, it sharpens the blade and trusts the strike. So ask yourself, honestly, what act of courage have you been avoiding? What truth have you sensed but not spoken? What step have you known deep down must be taken, but still you hesitate? There is no perfect condition for transformation. There is only presence. You cannot cross a threshold by thinking about it. You cross it by moving. Even a single conscious act done from truth is enough to set a different course. One breath taken without distraction. one apology spoken without pride, one object released without clinging. This is how the old world begins to dissolve, not through drama, but through integrity. And now the question arrives not from me, but from the life you are standing in. What will you carry forward from this moment? What will you leave behind? Not because it is easy, but because it is time. You know the answer. You've always known it. You've only been waiting for permission. But the mountain never gives permission. It only stands still. And those who are ready climb. So go. Not in a rush, not in fear, not with trembling. Go like a river that has found its path again. Go like a flame that knows exactly what it must consume. Go like a soul no longer willing to betray its own knowing. Whatever awaits is not the test. You are, and the time to answer is no longer later. It is now. You have listened, not with the ears, but with the soul. And now, a choice rests in your hands. Not a loud one, not dramatic, but quiet, sacred. The kind of choice that no one will witness, but everyone around you will feel. There are moments in life that pass like ordinary hours. And then there are moments that contain an entire life's worth of truth, compressed into a silence, a question, a breath. This is one of them. And what you do next will not be remembered by history, but by your own heart. The heart always remembers whether you ran from truth or returned to it. The ancients say, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The path is not elsewhere, it is here. The work is not beyond you, it is beneath you, already waiting in the breath, in the choice, in the step you've avoided for too long. Let today be the day you return to the ordinary with extraordinary presence. Do not fear the silence that follows this message. It is not emptiness, it is space. Space for you to decide who you will now become. Not for me, not for anyone watching, but for the part of you that came here quietly hoping to be remembered. And so I leave you with this. When the student asked the master, what is the final teaching? The master simply closed his eyes and breathed. So now, breathe. Before the clock strikes, before the door closes, before June 26 becomes just another day, ask yourself with full honesty, will I wait for life to awaken me? Or will I meet it already awake?